Is everyone else hearing that? Is everyone else hearing that? Because I don't know what that was, but...
Sophie, I started the recording, and immediately it captured, "Hot singles have breached the area! To arms!"
Oh, wow. This is how we get a copyright strike.
This whole fucking campaign is a copyright strike. There was a Bathhouse episode.
Really? Wait, how would the Bathhouse episode be a strike? Did we do something bad there?
Well, you were naked.
What?
We were naked. Huh?
You were naked.
You weren't naked.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be a copyright strike. That'd just be like a
actually, Adam and
thing.
Eve invented being naked, so you have to pay Adam and Eve naked reparations every time you take a shower.
Actually, they were pushed out by God, so technically they don't own anything.
Bible of Adam and Eve. So I get to bypass the copyright infringement of taking showers.
Hang on, doesn't that mean Princess is naked all the time?
Yes.
Anyway, welcome back to episode 12 of Dice Dogs. I am your dungeon master. I am your dungeon master, Connor Man. As always, with me is M, player of Fenkin Halfling, Vinn, player of Dhuur'in Kolbavar, Ethan, player of Gesh, who does not have a last name, I don't think.
Nope.
Finn,
nope. No last name too.
And Sophie, the always lovely Sophie, player of Ozla Highhill.
Did you forget my name for a second?
No.
You did!
No.
You did! You had to call me Penny again, didn't you?
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I always call you pet names like Scones and all that. And I was about to say Scones, but then I realized nobody in the audience would know who I'm talking about. So I had to like mentally be like, Scones, translate to Sophie.
If you called me Penny again, I think I would have left the server. I'm out.
Yeah, that makes me think. Maybe we should play Monster High at some point.
That does remind me, though. Growing up, I had a friend from Japan named Logan, and his mom was really nice. She was a really sweet lady, but the way she would like English wasn't her first language, but she could speak it very well. But the way she spoke it was that like she would say the sentence to herself in Japanese in her head first, and then translate it word for word. So I would go over to Logan's house, and I'd be like, "Miss Tanaka, how are you doing?" And she'd be like, "Connor, how are you?"
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, same.
Her last name isn't actually Tanaka. I just protect, privacy and all that shit,
Yeah.
All right. So.
Yeah, and their house address is 224.
And her social security number is
731. Go eat your bum. Jiggly doo. Miss a boom.
It's just like in the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. If the Grim Reaper was a fucking was like the Death Note spirit, it was like, oh, it would be so bad if something happened to Anthony Willoughby of 242 Lane. Also, here's the picture. All right. Anyway, how's everybody doing?
I'm okay.
I'm having a crisis.
Oh, is it because you're straight?
Yeah, I've over the long week break, I came to a realization. I am a straight man now, so I'm gonna have to rework a couple things about Dhuur'in's character. So.
Yeah, because straights, you can't play gay people. Not allowed.
I can't play a gay person as a straight person. So
no.
Like actually, or is this a goof? Because I'm very stupid.
No, this is a goof.
This is a gag. Connor, could you imagine me?
You think Finn would give up being gay for being straight? I don't even want to be straight.
You think?
Here's the thing. I didn't know I was ace for a long time. I thought I was just broken.
Oh my god, this big mood.
I never thought I was straight.
Oh, Christ. Anyway, without further ado, let's get back into the game. So, if you guys will remember last time, the shepherds were tasked by the city of Alfield, which they rescued from a pack of teeming rat men. They were tasked with going into the lumber area of the nearby woods to see if they could rout out the rest of the rat men, maybe curb any extra attacks in the future. They were sent there by the watchmaster Bryce Felid, who offered to pay them 20 gold pieces for each rat ear that they brought back. And but does anybody want to tell me what happened after that?
So it said that. Then Dhuur'in rushed off because, of course, Dhuur'in did, and then we had to talk to this half-orc that was like way too into him for no reason. And so then
Your Gesh is showing.
my what? I don't know
Your
what you're
Gesh
talking
is
about.
showing.
And then we left that guy on lurch because fuck him. And we went over to this like mill thing, factory thing. It doesn't really matter what it was. It was just a place thing where people did work stuff. And then we were all trying to be stealthy for a bit until Dhuur'in once again failed the stealth check. And then we got surrounded by 50 of them. And, honestly, at that point, probably should have been dead. Like, completely utterly dead. But one of the leaders was this weird rat thing that could stand and, like, do better stuff than the other ones. And he was like, oh, that elf, I want to eat that elf.
Not Dhuur'in.
And
not Dhuur'in.
And not eat, like, fucking...
Do sex?
Dhuur'in. I mean, like, eat as in cannibalism.
Yeah, it was a lot more Hannibal Lecter than 50 Shades of Grey. So
Yes.
I like keeping notes.
So that guy was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And Gesh was like, nah, I don't think so. And then a whole battle ensued where Gesh pulled out the mystic anime power of Lightning Fist and beat him down. And then the guy was like, I don't particularly like fighting anymore. I'm just going to go for 10 years because I'm a coward. He left. And all the rats also left because they were like, our leader's gone. We don't know anything. We've got no brains. And then...
Stupid.
Yeah, then the rest of the party was like, yeah, we're cool. And then Fenkin and Gesh had a little bonding moment. Because for some reason Fenkin thinks the Gesh wouldn't do anything for him. I mean, that's weird. But, anyway.
It obviously has a thing for elves.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, never. And then everybody moved into the place thing, buildings. And a big bear just fell over for no apparent reason whatsoever. It was definitely nothing to do with us. And then when we tried to go down some stairs, a certain someone tripped, and then everybody tumbled down into the darkness. So
No force damage.
Yeah, 2 force damage, and that was pretty. I don't know what you're pointing at, Connor. You're at the edge of the screen for me.
Oh,
so
I know what he means.
M is right next to me in the stream, so I'm pointing at.
Oh,
one side of you, Connor, and then you're on the other side, so you're just pointing at nothing.
yeah. Sorry, man. Yeah. So after that, people got up. The people who could see in the darkness, because some of us couldn't. I think it was Nox that went up to the door, was hiding for a little bit, waited, and so this asshole mystic person was like, guys, to this big massive rat guy thing, and he was like, oh my god, I asked for like 1 elf, you had 1 job, and you couldn't even pull it off. And then the other guy was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. My brain is the size of a pea. I just heard halfling, and you didn't, and so we got as many halflings as we could. And the other guy was like, That's not what I asked, though. So, die time. And then he killed him. And then he actually saw, I think it was Stitsy Nuts, and I was like, and then he was like, I'm going to check that out. And then he saw Ozla and was like, yay, I can do this without having to hire any more idiots. And then he did a whole bunch of bush pushing stuff. It was a great plan.
Telekinesis like 17 times.
Yeah, it wasn't fun to be there. And then he was like, oh, I'm just going to take her and go. And then the rest of the party was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. And so we all teamed up to fight him. And then he transformed into this weird eldritch thing. You know, just a thing. I don't mean the Fantastic Four thing. I mean more like the Thing from that one movie for the 80s. But less bloody. And with more eyes. And then, or maybe less eyes, depending on what you've read. So, then he did a whole bunch of stuff, beat us up a lot. We had to get him out. We had to get Ozla up because she was paralyzed. And that was a whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then he broke Gesh's quarterstaff because he's just an absolute asshole. I don't know if he broke anyone else's weapons because I didn't care. But Gesh. But then he did a lot more hitting. Then he tried to open a portal because he was like, I want to get out of here. I don't want to die this turn. I was supposed to be recurring, but and we all decided that he shouldn't be recurring because we already had enough of wondering if Snitch was going to come back. So we thought no, and then everybody fired their attacks, and it tried to grab Ozla, but we cut its tentacle thing. Fenkin cut the tentacle thing with an arrow, and it bypassed, went through it, and threw the portal into the ocean floor, probably killing a fish at some point. But then it killed the big eldritch monster thing guy, and then the portal closed, and then we were all like, "Oh boy." That was one. I wonder how we're gonna do the aftermath of this thing. Maybe we'll have to explain stuff to people. And then Colin was like, you know what? Let's close the session now. And then that happened. And so now we're all just sitting there in a damp, dark cave, wondering what the hell we're supposed to do next. Yeah.
This was the best recap I've ever heard in my life.
I want Ethan to do all the recaps from now on. I'm just imagining like Gesh in like a living room on a chair with a pipe in front of a crackling fireplace, and he's just like, and then there is some huge shit that went down. And bubbles come out.
Everything is like sarcastic because he doesn't give a fuck and he doesn't give a shit, and that person was an asshole.
But then that guy looked at Dhuur'in weird, and obviously I had to do something.
Also, the arrow that went into the ocean. Can you imagine some scuba divers just like, look at all the pretty corals?
When we get to the coast, there's just gonna be a body on the water that's just floating with blood on it.
Oh, you forgot
around it.
That Dhuur'in did radiant damage because the cowboy sun god guy came out of my brain and rapier rolled a nat 20 and incapacitated the motherfucker. The thing grew 6 feet long and talked to her brain.
And the guy had something to do with Okachoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to take Ozla's soul, and we said, I don't think so.
All right. So with that excellent recap, thank you, Ethan.
You're welcome.
You all, as we left off, you are all still within the basement of the mill house. It's a bit dark because the one torch sconce that was there got snuffed out by the seawater that poured in from the portal which has now been deactivated. The entire room stinks of rotting fish and salt water, and everything is just wet. As you move about...
Oh wait, I forgot. It exploded as well, didn't it? Yeah, right at the end it exploded.
No, I think it went back through the portal.
Yeah, it just went...
No,
there's still a body. There's still a body there. They're still. What happened? What happened last time with the body is that like a little tendril came out. It gave a last message, and then it flopped down onto the chest.
What was the message again?
We will wait for you at the coast.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, so
wow, lovely and ominous.
So, clearly very tired from battle, very waterlogged, and all more than a little shocked by the very strange events that transpired within the basement. You find yourselves in a room with this carcass.
Cool.
Right.
I'd like to remind everyone that Nox is sawing the ears off of the rat creature.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Nox, as you're
Girl.
doing that with the serrated scimitar, it's kind of hard because the tendons in the ear of this rat man are clearly very mutated, so they're very thick and kind of like rubbery and stringy and very difficult to cut through. But after like a good minute or so of just kind of like sawing, you're able to get a good chunk of the ear off that it's like recognizable to be an ear.
Okay. Good.
Fenkin, who just shot the last deciding arrow, he lowers his bow and like puts it back on his back, and he heaves a deep breath, and then he looks very serious as he looks around. And question to you, Connor: the tip of the quarterstaff that he broke off, is it still floating on the water somewhere?
The water has kind of like rushed out of the room and kind of like gone into the cracks. So it's, while there is like maybe an inch or so of water on the ground that's kind of quickly dissipating, you are able to find the tip of the quarterstaff kind of like lying where Ozla was when she was paralyzed.
Okay, so he sees it and he goes to pick it up, and then he looks at Gesh and he looks very reluctant to walk over. He's like, do I have to do this? Okay, fine, I'll do it. And then he walks over to Gesh and he holds the tip out to him and starts stuttering a bit as he tries to explain himself. He's like, the Tabaxi, she was able to mend my sword. Maybe she can do the same for you if after like a night's rest or something. And then he basically shoves it into Gesh's chest, and then he turns around and he rushes away. And they were very like stiff, awkward steps.
Thanks for my tip, but
Okay, and as he walks away, like he's basically blocking out every noise. He doesn't really hear what he says. He's inwardly rejoicing. I did it. I was able to be kind. I did it. So this was a big deal for him.
Good job.
As he like sort of stumbles over something, he snaps out of his temporary euphoria, and he looks towards Oz. Oz, where are you?
I am pissed as hell. I have thrown my hammer at the wall. I am stomping about, muttering curses in a circle.
All right, so Fenkin, as you turn around to face Ozla, you hear something whistle past your head, and Gesh, you're able to like duck out of the way as a hammer comes careening through the air and just embeds itself into the wall behind you guys, leaving this like huge fucking crater. And you see Ozla still kind of coming off the throes of her most recent rage, kind of like stomping around. And Ozla, give me a strength check real quick.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Hang on, let me. Is my thing not even? My thing's not even open. Give me a minute. I thought I had it open. I do not have it open. But I'm just gonna roll the number. All right. Well, 16. How much? I think my strength is +2, so 18.
Yeah, you're everywhere she stomps, she's like cracking floorboards and shit.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is Fenkin. And he turns to look at her and he watches her for a moment, and he seems to sink into like a deep, very profound mood. And then he walks up to her and he reaches out to grab her shoulders very firmly and shakes her a little bit to make her turn her attention to him. And he says, Ozla, Ozla, look at me.
No, fuck off. I don't want to talk.
Ozla, listen to me. He reaches out to slap her. He slaps her across the face, like, snap out of it.
So Ozla,
Uh-oh.
Ozla, you're like struggling against his grip, and then suddenly there's just like a sharp sting of pain across your face as Fenkin of all people slaps you.
I was about to say, like, make a strength check, but no. Can you imagine? When he does, she sort of like goes, she's like mid like curse. She's like trying to say like, get the fuck away from me. But as she says it, like it cuts off mid sentence, and her head just snaps to the side like really violently, and her neck breaks and she dies.
Okay.
But no, her neck snaps to the side really violently, and she just pauses for a second. And it's not often that Oz gets melancholic, but her face sort of like twists into this grimace of sorrow or something. And she's just, you can see that what she's been told has like hit her very deeply. And she just, very quietly, she sort of curls in and she says, Connor, there's a fucking dice on your head.
That's what Ozla says?
Yeah, she talks straight to God. Fuck, I lost the vibe. She very quietly says, Then he said they would. He was lying. He was lying, right?
He gives her a serious look and then sort of almost interrupts her by shaking her again. Tries, like, his eyes drill into hers and he tries to maintain her eye contact. And he leans down and he looks at her and says, Ozla, this was not your fault. What happened at the village was not your fault. Are we clear?
I don't care about the fucking village. I care about the needle.
I know. I just wanted to make sure you don't have any useless thoughts in your head.
I just. It was a lie. It was a lie. He lied to me, didn't he?
Listen, I need you to snap out of it and believe reality. Okay, you're not dreaming. This is not a dream. This just happened. Take a look around. Do you think this is a dream? He did not lie to you.
No, But he said about the others, the fucking serpents. They can't be. I've been looking for so long, Fen.
I know, we don't know for sure what has happened yet, okay? We don't think about anything before we get to the coast. Thinking about it is not going to do you any good. Whatever he said, whether it's lies or truth, doesn't matter. What matters now is that we keep moving forward.
Okay. I swear to God, if that prick was telling the truth and they're all... I'm gonna fucking go mental.
If anything happened to them, we'll take revenge.
and take revenge against this stupid fucking whatever it is serpent. I'll fucking strangle it with my bare fucking hands.
Oh, don't let anger consume you. You know what happens when it does.
So, everybody else, you very much hear this exchange that's going on around you, and there's a lot of words being thrown around, like revenge, the needle, and clearly whatever is going on that's affecting Ozla, it's very deep and very personal. You've never seen her like this. You've seen her in the throes of combat, cackling as she crushes skulls with her bare hands. You've seen her drinking herself practically to death and still continuing to drink, all while laughing and arm wrestling. You've never seen her cry. And I've never heard that sound before. So.
None of us ever have.
It's unique.
It is.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
So as this is happening, Dhuur'in, what are you doing, buddy?
I would like to leave the room.
We've heard from everybody but Dhuur'in.
I would like to leave the room.
You're just leaving.
I'm gonna walk out the door. I'm gonna go into that other little hallway room, and I'm gonna just hit my head once against the wall really hard, shake my head, and walk back in.
Yeah, radiant damage. He's trying to shake the cowboy out of him.
All right. So
You can't get cowboy out that easily.
So Gesh, out of the corner of your eye, while Fenkin and Ozla seem to be shouting at each other, you watch as Dhuur'in kind of like floats out the room and kind of disappears around the door, and then you just hear a, and he comes back around, maybe kind of like rubbing his forehead.
Oh.
Imagine if it interrupts whatever conversation Fenkin also is having at school, but and everybody's staring at him.
Don't worry about it.
He's fine.
It's fine. It's
Blood
cool.
fucking
Don't
trickles
worry.
down. Like, don't worry about it.
It's just head wounds just bleed a lot. Fine. Nox has been listening with her ears like flat, just like a kind of look of anger, maybe contempt. It's kind of difficult to know exactly what sort of expression she has on her face, but she's definitely like mixture of upset about what the fuck just happened and also like listening into this conversation and kind of upset about that as well. So she's sawing these ears, she gets them both off, and then she stands, she's kind of like trying to fold the ears up so that she can like put them in her pocket, but it's kind of nasty because they're gross and bloody and shit. But
yeah, it's kind of like a bloody,
yeah.
It's kind of like a bloody, springy mess in your hands. It's not really something that can be like folded as much as it can be like kind of crumpled and like kind of just kind of crumpled up.
Wow.
Yeah. As she's attempting to kind of put it in her pocket, she stands. She turns to Ozla and Fenkin, and her voice is a lot quieter and less authoritative than normal for her. And she just says, "We should get out of here."
Fenkin releases her shoulders and stands back up like.
All right. Before you guys leave, do you want to look at the body at all, or?
Yeah.
I would like to crush
Oh yeah, we do
his
have a body. I know you said we have a body. I keep forgetting for some reason. I'm thinking that we don't, but we do.
I'm sorry. What is Ozla doing?
I would like to crush his head, please.
Get it all out.
I mean,
I mean, you sort of got a hole in it. It's going to be easy.
what are you doing? Like, are you walking up with your foot? Are you pulling your hammer out of the wall and just?
I am stamping on it with my heel.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so
What check am I doing?
as you approach the body, you're able to get like a better look at it now that it's motionless and not swinging at you guys with like knife-like talons and screeching at you. The body itself, while it is humanoid, it seems much more fish than man.
Ew.
Where the flesh has been torn away on the face, as we've already talked about, there's kind of like silvery blue scales that look moist and wet, and a lamprey-like mouth that once opened in a roaring hiss now just kind of like lies flat on either side, the flaps kind of just like resting against the ground. The fishy eyes are now glazed over and glassy, staring up at nothing, and the tendrils that while there might be like an occasional death throw twitch from the tendrils and like the occasional finger twitch, it makes no moves until Ozla stomps over and just crushes this thing's head with her foot. You watch as she rears back and just, and it's just a spout of gore that goes every which way. And you watch the body actually just like, as that happens. But where the head used to be is now just kind of what I can only describe as steak choppings mixed with mashed potatoes.
Ew!
Yeah.
Nasty! I love it.
And as soon as you step away, Ozla, kind of kicking the meat and the gore from your boot, you hear a click.
Oh no. Oh no.
And then suddenly, a spark from the right hand of the creature goes up. And in mere moments, you watch as a green flame starts to burn alive the entire body, consuming it in mere seconds.
Shit.
No.
I wanted to go through the skin fold.
It's immediate, almost like fucking a match on an oil fire. Just
Yeah. Nuts will kind of instinctively grab both Fenkin and Oz by the shoulders and like pull them back a little bit from the sudden explosion of fire. She has brief mom instincts.
As Nox pulls Ozla away, I wanted to like spit into the flames, just like.
All right, so the spit globble goes into the flames, and you hear like a tss as it evaporates in the air. But now the stench of dead fish flesh is now the stench of dead burning fish flesh, which is not better, but eventually
No.
You all watch as this humanoid body burns for about a minute or a minute and a half, and when the fire begins to finally die down, all that's left behind are gray bones that eventually dissolve into an ash pile, and something shiny glints from the middle of the ash pile.
Ooh.
I reach down and go to grab it.
Oh.
Ozla's going to grab it?
Yeah.
All right.
With her bare ass
hands covered in
So as a little
dirt and
halfling hand kind of sifts through the ash, Ozla, you come away with something small and a bit heavy in your hand, and when you open it, you reveal a small brass ring.
Okay.
Mm.
Is it magic? I don't know what check I can do to check if it's... Is it an Arcana check?
You can make an Arcana check, yeah.
Well, this isn't going to go well because I have a +0.
If all fails, I do have identify.
It is a solid 10, my friends.
That's exactly what you needed to pass, honestly. So,
Yeah.
There you go.
Kind of like how a gun that's been recently fired is kind of like hot at the tip. You can sort of tell that at one point this thing might have been magical, but all of the juice is kind of gone. So it was originally a magic item, but as you take a closer look, you see that it's a signet ring. And for those of you who don't know, a signet ring is basically like what nobles wear to like put their stamp of approval on things, like letters and shit. And you recognize the symbol that makes up the signet of the brass ring.
Oh Christ! Here we
An
go.
unblinking eye exactly like
Oh,
the
God.
seal on the letter that you found in Zadash.
Also, like, she's still pretty pissed, so she's not paying attention to it. But obviously, she knows like to do with this thing, and she just like turns over in one hand and just her lips like fold into that little line and everything, and she turns away and she doesn't look, but she holds it out to Nox like straight on and go, "Can you take this? I don't want any reminders."
Nox is squinting, but she, after a couple of seconds, she nods a little bit. She takes it very like carefully with like 2 fingers, as if she doesn't really want to like touch it, considering that it just came out of a flesh explosion. But she will take it and she will put it in her pouch for safekeeping.
All right. So the ring itself is kind of warm to the touch, whether that's from magic or from the fact that it was just in a fire. You can't really tell, but you plop it into your bag, no problem. And so yeah. Now what?
Gross.
I leave. I stomp out after Dhuur'in.
I came back. I'm just kind of standing at the door awkwardly and very, very quietly.
Just very uncomfortably.
I've got my own shit going on.
All right.
Actually,
Yeah.
Before,
What's going on? What's up?
Before Gesh heads off with the rest of them, he stares down at the 2 broken halves of his quarterstaff and sort of just drops them into the ash before heading out with the rest of them.
oh,
All right. So I'll say that Dhuur'in is the last to leave the room, and Dhuur'in, as you kind of like take a long look at this basement, a source of nightmares and very strange occurrences in the past hour or so. You look down at the ash pile of your defeated enemy, and you see the broken
Did it freeze?
quarterstaff just sitting there.
Guys?
And you, what? What's up, Ethan?
Oh, has he lost connection?
Oh, okay.
uh-oh.
We'll get him back soon enough. In any case, Dhuur'in, you see the broken tip of Gesh's quarterstaff.
Oh, you can be kidding me.
The white wood kind of standing out against the ash. And for some reason, almost like a gift from a mother, you can't bear to leave it behind.
I won't. I'll take it.
Okay. With that, you guys make your way up the stairs, this time with nobody falling, fortunately. Fenkin likely a bit more
Careful.
a bit more wary of spiders, and but you're eventually able to make your way up the stairs and back into the mill house interior, where once again a bear has gone through the window, and it feels a bit colder in there because of all the open air that's kind of rushing into from the broken window.
Ethan!
Yay, he's back.
Yeah, sorry. Everything just froze, and I couldn't hear anybody for a while there.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
Ethan,
No
I took the tip of your quarterstaff. I put it in my bag.
You have your tip in him. Wait up.
Okay.
All right. Anyway,
Great.
so I'm assuming, unless you guys want to, I guess, loot the mill house or whatever, is there anything you guys want to do before you make your way out of the? Yeah.
Loot.
Yes.
We actually do want to loot them. Okay.
Awkwardly approach the party and say, Did you see the sunlight?
You mean the sun or?
No. Down there.
There was no sunlight down there.
It's pretty dark. Are you okay?
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I would like Fenkin to sort of slow down a little bit until he approaches Dhuur'in, and give him a few like awkward looks, and then like clear his throat and then say, you are proficient within the Arcana, right?
Yes.
Have you noticed anything weird about the raccoon?
Uh-oh.
Nothing?
Nothing.
No, like you know, like words.
No.
Are you asking him if he has heard the raccoon speak?
No, that's not. I wasn't talking to you. Never mind. And then he sort of hurries away.
I have been told to eat it.
Say what?
In my bed.
And then he ignores him. Keeps walking.
All right. I've been told to think it in my head. Everybody, I was told to eat it in my head, and everybody's just collectively like, "That's called a thought, Dhuur'in." But as you guys make your way out of the mill house and into the, I don't want to call it a courtyard, but that's essentially what it is—the courtyard of the lumber mill. There are still like a few scant dead rat men kind of milling about from where they were either shanked by their comrades or trampled to death by their comrades on their escape out after Snagrat's defeat. So if you want to collect a few more ears, you can. I'll say that you get.
Knox is doing that. Yes.
We'll say you get about 4 more ears out of the whole debacle. The rest.
Yeah.
You tried. These are actually very difficult to cut off. You find because like the tendons on this part where it connects like this little bit from the ridge to the head, that's like very difficult to saw through. And when you do saw through it, your knife kind of like wants to follow the tendon, so you can only get like a tip. You know, so you're able to get like 4 without mangling them too much.
Assume that Knox spent a lot more time trying to get as many as possible, and someone pulled her away. Because that's probably what happened. At some point, someone was like, "Okay, we have to go."
Fenkin found it very disturbing. He found it very disturbing to see Knox, who has ears, saw off someone else's ears, and it was.
You say that like we don't all have ears.
No, but like you
Actually,
know,
Gesh technically doesn't have any visible ears. So,
yeah, but
That's
more of the like animal type pointy ears thingy. So I believe Fenkin maybe like try to drag her away a little bit.
That is filthy, Knox.
Look at that, it's dirty.
It's dirty little beast.
Yeah, she has a small collection of ears in her pocket.
I'm just imagining someone picking her up like a naughty cat, just fucking like legs dangling.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. So are you guys just kind of making your way out of the forest back to Alfield? All right.
yeah, pretty much.
So approaching the never eat soggy waffles. I think it was the northeastern gate. I said.
Yes.
Again, it's not a very long walk, and you're able to kind of see the courtyard after a minute or so of walking. And on your way back, you see a bunch of Crownsguard. You see there's kind of a pile of Ratmen bodies, very fresh ones that weren't there before when you left. You see a pair of Crownsguard along with Kyle, the half-orc Crownsguard sergeant. You see them working together to kind of like pile the rats on top of one another. And eventually Kyle turns around, spots you guys, and he waves and he says, "Hey! Hey, over here!"
Of course you survived.
Leave him alone.
Rude.
Just because he wants to bone your boyfriend.
I've got my hood up and my head down.
As you guys make your way over to the gate, he kind of steps forward and he's kind of like wiping blood off his gloves, and he's like, "Oh, did you what happened back there? About 30 minutes ago, a bunch of these little bastards came scrambling out. There was no order whatsoever. We were able to cut them all down, no contest."
I killed their leader. Well, not killed. I beat the shit out of their leader.
No shit, really?
And then they all just ran off for some reason.
They just left? All the rats?
Yes. It was like they couldn't handle themselves without having someone to lead them.
Well, you know what they say about cutting off the head of the snake. In any case, they didn't seem to head back towards the village, so, you know, if they're gone, they're gone. I'll talk to Bryce, see about having some patrols sent out, and we'll see about having some extra guards posted through the night, but, personally, I can't thank you enough.
Nox, looking at, giving direct eye contact to this guy, slowly draws out a wad of unintelligible tissue from her pocket and unfurls her hand and starts to, like, as if she's like counting out dollar bills, she just like peels off ears and just like gives them to him. Like, I think she has 6 in total, just one after the other, just hands them to him and says, "There is 6 here and 20 gold each." So
So Kyle, who was talking to Gesh at first, is like, "All right, so."
he just turns and sees just sees her with this flesh.
There's a moment of Kyle like bringing his hands up over his mouth, and you watch the cheeks inflate for a second before he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna want to take those to Bryce," and he looks very, very pale in the face. He's waiting for you at the Candle Glow Inn, and so is Starosta Kosh. He wants to speak with you. He's the leader of Alfield.
Nox nods and folds the ears back up.
What was the Star Coaster's name?
He's like actively looking away from you guys, like, "Kosh, Starosta Kosh. He'll be the little excitable fellow in the Candle Glow Inn."
Mm. And Gesh just sort of pats him on the shoulder and is like, "It's okay. Not everyone can stomach these things."
As your hand comes away, there's like a red handprint, and he's like, "Well, thank you all the same."
Fenkin is pinching his nose like, ugh.
Yeah, you guys realize you don't smell very good. There's a moment like, I
can only imagine.
As you leave Kyle behind, you hear like a retching sound, and you hear, "Sir, you all right? Sir?" Oh, yep, there he goes. But as you kind of walk into town, there's the smell of smoke, of course, but like all kind of at once, you realize how terrible you all sort of smell, covered in rat bits and fish bits and all that.
Yeah.
But around town, it seems people have been working on the cleanup. There's a very somber moment where you see a few guards and villagers wrapping up body bags of what appear to be the casualties of the village, and kind of like lining them up in the road before loading them into a cart. You also see a pile of burning bones, which is what you assume them to be the rat men. In fact, you see two guards, one holding the wrist, the other holding the legs, just like throw another rat man onto the pile. And to everybody, it's a gross smell, but to Dhuur'in, you're probably thinking like, "Oh, fried rat does sound good right about now."
Hungry.
Like everybody's on the verge of retching, but then you just hear Dhuur'in's stomach growl.
Wow.
Like, it's
He
really all
just
like,
lowers his head even farther.
So, yeah, you have a couple options here right now. You can either immediately go to the Candleglow Inn, or you can head over to the Broad Barn, which is where Princess was left, if you'll remember.
I was literally about to say, where the fuck is my child?
Fenkin is asking you, Connor, is there anywhere to bathe?
To what?
Yeah, he looks directly at God and goes,
Is there
"Can I
anywhere to
bathe
bathe?"
somewhere?"
I mean, there's no open puddles or like pouring rain gutters at the moment, but I'm
Take a puddle. At this
Am I
point,
saying
you
it's
take a puddle.
Candleglow Inn?
all right. So Ozla, you said you were going to the Broad Barn.
I want to see my boy.
Okay. So
My little boy.
Here
so
he comes.
after you guys listen to Dhuur'in's stomach growl, and Dhuur'in grows a little, I don't know what a blush would look like on a drow, a little purplier
You
in
can't
the
see
face.
You can't see it.
You watch as Ozla starts to make her way over to the Broad Barn, and you eventually catch up with her. And pulling open the door to this particular store, inside you now see that like it's not free of people. You know, there are one or two people helping the store owner, a very older gentleman with a very long white chin strap beard and wiry hair and an apron. They're kind of like helping him put everything back together and put like shelves back in place that were moved so that the refugees could like have a place to stay in the Broad Barn while the attack happened. But while that's happening, you see the half-elven veterinarian person who, with long black hair, kind of like over at the. You see him helping the other workers at the time move a shelf, and he kind of steps back, kind of cracking his neck.
Ozla walks straight over to him because she knows that's who was holding Princess, and she sort of like tugs on his thing, and she's like, "Mate, where's the? Have you seen my raccoon?"
There's like a moment, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh, hello, little what? Oh, Miss." Having momentarily mistaken you for a child, he kind of straightens up and he's like, "Oh, yes. I left him with my daughter. She's in the back."
Can I go in the back?
So shoving him out of the way, he kind of like watches as you go, and the back room of the Broad Barn isn't exactly a room. The Broad Barn is kind of like it's one big barn, you know, but there is kind of like a stable that's been repurposed as kind of like, I guess, a paperwork room, a documentation room. And as you make your way in, you open kind of like the little stable door, and sitting amongst the hay on a little table, you see a very young half-elven girl with kind of cropped black hair in a little pink dress, and you see that she's like pouring tea into a cup, and in the chair across from her,
No.
looking very unhappy, kind of like
No.
shoved into like a tiny doll's shirt that's very ill-fitting, and wearing like a little bonnet. You see Princess with his arms out because he can't move them.
Oh no!
I was gonna have a really emotional moment where she cries with Princess, and you fucking put me in here with a fucking Alice in Wonderland tea party. Oh my god!
And when you open the when you open the gate, the little girl looks up, and she goes, "Bubblegum, look, we got more visitors."
That's another name to the list.
Bubblegum. That's so cute. Ozla's like still got the door pushed open. She's got one hand on the door, and she just like cocks an eyebrow, just like, "Bubblegum." Who told you that?
Well, that's what I called him. Daddy didn't tell me what his name was, so I thought I'd give him one. And as this conversation is happening, you watch as Princess slowly looks over at you, like with kind of like a "kill me" expression.
Ozla, she's just a bit taken aback. She's like, "What the fuck? What have I walked into?" But she sees how happy this little kid is, and like, she doesn't want to do it, but she sort of like just droops her shoulders a little, and she's like, "Well, that is a pretty good name, but he usually answers to Princess."
Her eyes widen, and she says, "Your princess?" And there's like a low grumbling grrr from Princess. And eventually the little girl puts her teacup down, gets up, and picks Princess up out of the chair. And as she does, you see that the wound has been kind of wrapped in gauze a little bit under the very tiny little shirt that he's wearing. And she kind of like, with a bit of difficulty, because she's a very small child and he's a very fat, long, heavy raccoon, she carries Princess over to Ozla and says, Papa said you'd be back. I've been taking good care of him. And and Princess immediately is like,
"It looks like you've taken really good care of him. If you've got a crown somewhere, we can maybe dress him up a little." And I want Ozla to lean into Princess and be like, "This is payback for biting me." You little bitch!
Please, I want Fenkin to like enter behind her and give Princess like a very squinty look, and then when he hears Ozla say that, he's like, I don't think that's a good idea, because he's looking terrified of Princess now.
As Fenkin walks in, Ozla sort of like slaps her hand up into his chest, and like her sour mood is gone now because she's just like, "It's time for revenge," and she just like sort of slaps Fenkin like, "Yeah, he'd look cute in like a really sparkly dress, wouldn't he? Do you have any sparkly dresses, kiddo?" Don't worry about him. He's fine.
Fenkin, as soon as you step into view, Princess's eyes widen, and as much as his little arms can stretch in the shirt, they reach out towards you and do like the grabby hands. and seeing this, the little girl kind of like turns him and then walks him over to Fenkin and holds him up.
Fenkin is a little bit withdrawn. He's like, and then he reaches out and he like picks him up, and then he holds him and he gives him a careful look over.
All right. As soon as like you pull him to your chest, there's this long raccoon tongue that just like slurp right up your face.
Fenkin freezes and he's like, "Every time." And he like wipes his face and he's like, "Glad to see you're okay."
And with that, Princess kind of like puts his little raccoon hands here, and then like snuggles his little snout into the crook of your neck.
Ozla whispers, "Traitor."
And the little girl, the little girl, she claps and she's like, "You're his mama."
Ozla bursts out laughing. She's
He gives Ozla a long stare, like, "Help me."
"You're his mama."
He's gonna look, he's grumpy now. He's like, so he looks down at Prince and he goes, "That shirt looks good on you, huh?"
So eventually you're able to get Princess undressed from his current state of humiliation, the shirt coming off with kind of like a kind of and the little girl whose name is Brenna, she thanks you for both helping the town and letting her spend some time with An animal people don't usually spend time with, considering. But so while this is happening, Gesh, Nox, and Dhuur'in, what are you guys doing around the Broad Barn?
Standing.
Yeah, just waiting. Gesh doesn't want to have anything to do with the raccoon, to be honest. He's just waiting around.
Aw.
Standing and staring at the ground.
Nox is just like there. She looks at Gesh and then looks at Dhuur'in and sees that neither of them are going to be conversation partners of any sort right now. She just like sighs and moves closer to Ben, Oz, and the little raccoon. She is very amused.
Are there any shops around in the?
You're
the
in a
Broad
shop right now. You're
Oh,
in,
okay. Ignore me.
the Broad Barn is a shop.
Leave me alone.
So Nox,
Evil.
as you make your way over, you see again the owner of the establishment, the older gentleman. He's kind of like he looks like he's a human guy in maybe his 60s, his early 70s, very thin and gaunt. And you watch as like he shaking hands take a box from a shelf to like bring it down and put it on the ground before you hear a crack and he goes, oh, and he reaches back to like hold his back as he and the box itself drops and you see that it's full of like farm tools that kind of like spill out onto the ground.
Sorry, it's full of, what did you say?
Farm tools like spades,
Hand tools and stuff.
grass scissors, yeah.
Scissors.
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh god. Scissors.
Grass scissors. They're like they're using to trim
They're
like
less
the edge
scary.
of grass. What?
Yeah, less scary than shears.
Yeah.
We have bad history with shears.
They have a bad history with shears.
I probably missed this from last time, but what is the shop owner look like? What's his kind of deal?
I just like
No, but like what race is he?
human. He's human.
Okay, he's a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sees this. She like winces sympathetically. He's how old would you say he is? Like based on he's old, like
again,
elderly, or
again, late 60s, early 70s.
okay, yeah. So he's like he's at about the age that he definitely reminds Nox of like her own like father struggling to do things. So she's like, oh god. So she comes over quickly, and kind of goes to tend to the box first, and like, you know, if anything fell out, she puts it back, or she just kind of like makes sure that, you know, his stuff is still gathered together in the box. And as she's doing this, she looks up at him and she says, "Are you okay? Should you be lifting something so heavy?"
He is still kind of like rubbing his back with both hands. He notices you picking stuff up, and he says, "Oh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. I am getting a bit long in the tooth, I'm afraid, but it's someone has to keep has to keep things running, and this is all I know, unfortunately. Thank you. What's your name?"
She kind of pauses for a second, and she huffs a little bit, and she says, "Nox." And then she bends down to pick up the box and kind of like lifts it up and sort of hefts a little bit to get a good grip on it. And she says, "All right, where is this going?"
I was just moving it to the front. I really do appreciate this, dear. My name is Jermaine. You may call me Jermaine Forrester, and you're one of the 5 fellows who came into town earlier today. Yes, having a talk with Watchmaster Bryce. Yes.
Yes, she's kind of moving the box as she talks to towards the front of the shop where he indicated it was going, and but she's moving kind of slowly so that he can like keep up with her. And she says, "Yes, the shepherds they're calling us."
The shepherds, I've heard a few of the children saying that word around town. I just didn't know what was in reference to. In any case, you have an old man's thanks. If you hadn't come when you did, I wouldn't have a store, and I likely wouldn't have customers either.
Oh
Oh
God,
my god.
the like very sudden and slightly scary old person cough. She nods a little bit. She goes to put the box down on the front counter or wherever it is that he directs her to put it.
Still coughing, he's kind of like using one shaky hand to kind of like point at the counter, and and eventually he's at this point coughing into a handkerchief. And when you turn around, he puts the handkerchief away, but you are able to see a slight glimmer of blood on the handkerchief as he puts it into his pocket. And kind of like taking a seat on a wicker chair nearest the counter, he lets out an audible sigh as he sits down, and he says, "I can't offer much, but when I have my operation up and running once more, consider yourselves discounted for whatever you need. I'm not sure what mighty adventurers like yourselves might need for farming equipment, but feel free to take what you need."
She definitely noticed the blood, and she kind of narrowed her eyes a little bit, but she didn't say anything in regards to that. At least she just kind of bows her head respectfully at him and says, "Regardless, it is appreciated." And then she pauses for a second and then continues. You do not run this store by yourself, do you?
Some of the children are nice enough to come around and help an old man every now and then again, but for the most part, it is me. It used to be me and my husband, but, well, those were nicer times in any case. But now it's just me, and though it's not much of a living, it's a living, and it's mine. And I am proud enough to say that.
She nods a little bit and she says, "Well, that is fair, I suppose. There is something to be said about having your own business and running it your way, I suppose. Yes?"
I suppose, though, given what happened today, it makes me wonder if there was something else that I could have done. We live in very strange times, in a very strange world, where lives can be cut short so quickly, and one often forgets to think about the things that are important, especially at the time in which they come. You forget to cherish certain things. And at the end of it all, when you have a chance to look back, you think to yourself, you wonder if there's something that you could have done differently.
You're about to make me cry right here.
She is quiet for a second and she says, "I do not know what stories or adventures you have seen, my friend. Truth be told, someday, if we had the time, I would love to sit and listen, but I suppose both of us have things that we must attend to, yes. But even so..."
Yes. My apologies for rambling. It's always been a habit of mine getting off on a tangent.
No, it is fine. It is fine.
Very gently,
Okay.
a gnarled hand comes out and kind of takes yours, and he puts his other hand over the top of it, and he looks at you, and he says, Forgive me if I overstep. Forgive me if I forget my place for a moment. But I've been around long enough to know when someone is questioning things, when someone feels a bit lonely. Just don't make the mistakes that I did. Don't forget to cherish people. Because you can't cherish them once they're gone.
Jeez. Damn, okay, hold on. I need to take a second to to write that down. She please don't cry. No,
The server crybaby strikes again.
I just feel bad now.
You do this every session.
She Nox was not necessarily like uncomfortable. She was definitely like it kind of seemed as though like she had an idea of like what she was about to say or like a point that she was about to make, but then she stopped to let him speak, and then like that her like track that she was on is just kind of like derailed. She's like, oh fuck, okay. Shit.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was just okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and after he says that, he's like, "Oh, before you go," and he reaches over, and at the counter, you remember last time near the counter there was that like rack of Pocket Hero trading cards. He reaches over and like he plucks one of the paper packs off of the rack, and he brings up. I know it's not much, but these are popular with the kids.
Open it!
Oh, of course she will. She she kind of like has a moment where like she takes it and then she like recalls him saying it's popular with the kids, and then she recalls the fact that she is a 40-year-old woman, and she's like, all right, whatever. She will open it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and roll me a d20 and do it 3 times.
Do you want me to record all 3 rolls? Like tell you all 3 rolls?
Just tell me what all 3 rolls are.
7,
7,
15, 16.
Okay.
7, 15, 16.
Now for rarity, do it 3 more times.
Oh dear God.
Still D20?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 again. 11.
All right. So the first card you pull out, it's got a silver trim denoting silver level rarity, and you see, and the picture itself is what appears to be a small kind of lizard-like humanoid, kind of hurling a sling around its head, kind of like standing on what appears to be a bleached dragon skull.
Ooh.
According to like the size of the creature, in real life it couldn't be more than 3 feet, but on the little scroll on the bottom it says Kobold. So please add silver rarity Kobold to your
Kobold. I love kobolds.
I can't wait until we get to do an actual Yu-Gi-Oh battle.
Yes. Oh my God. Nox has it together.
All right.
She has a well built team. All right. Silver kobold.
The next one you turn around. This one again very dragon-like. You see another silver trim, right? And this time it's a huge winged beast with blue scales, very reminiscent of somebody that you know, with kind of like greenish underscales and green webbing on the wings, and it's like roaring up into the sky straight up, standing on a pile of what appears to be coins, a huge mountain of coins, and on the scroll it says Blue Dragon.
It says
Is it a blue eyes white dragon?
It says Blue Dragon.
It says Michael, and then I show it to Gesh, and he's like, "Oh shit, that's cousin Mike."
Mike? All right. And what was the last roll you made? I'm sorry.
It was I rolled a 16, and the rarity I rolled an 11.
Okay, all right. So you turn around, and this time it's got a gold rim, denoting gold rarity, right? And you see this time the art itself is of a huge humanoid figure, kind of with one hand on a pine tree, like peering around, kind of like this. You only see like the upper half of the portrait, but even you recognize the face of a hill giant. And that's what it says on the scroll. So please add gold rarity hill giant to your inventory.
Oh yeah, y'all. I have 4 cards. I don't know what a deck would constitute, but I feel like I'm on my way to a deck here.
There's
Well,
not really...
what you have Grog,
Yeah, Fenkin has
and you
one
have
as well.
Vex, and now you have these 3.
Yeah.
Because I gave you Grog.
Oh, did you give me Grog? Oh, you
Which
did.
I now regret doing now that I've actually started watching Critical Role. Give me my card
Yeah,
back.
I have that one too.
Fenkin
What?
also
Okay,
has
well, I'll add that later. We can talk about that.
Chimera.
You
I want my Grog card back.
She takes them. She looks at all 3 of them. Once again, like her interest is of course piqued by the gold one because she assumes it's more rare or more valuable. But she takes a moment to. It is certainly more shiny. She takes a moment to look at all 3 of them. She thanks him. She puts them in her pack along with the other cards that she has, and then she kind of moves as if she's going to go like rejoin the rest of the party. But then she pauses and looks back at Jermaine, and she says, "Forgive me. Would you mind if I played a song?"
A song? Well, it's been
Yes.
a while since Alfield's had any good bards, if you pardon my meaning. Feel free, of course.
Thank you. And with that, she will kind of heave herself up onto the what do you call it? The counter.
Okay.
So she'll get up there, sit next to the box that she put down of the gardening supplies. And she will take out her flute and she will play a nice little melody. It'll be one of the kind of songs that she played a lot when she was kind of doing more traveling with her caravan, when they were doing more performances. Obviously, every region kind of has their own regional favorites, and she hasn't really been to this part of the country before, so she doesn't even know if, any of the songs that she knows that were popular in the coast would be popular here. But she will play a little melody just to kind of, just as a way of kind of thanking him for his words and his cards.
All right. Roll me a performance check.
Okay.
Someone get Fredbear.
And and go ahead and do it with advantage because you've kind of got the stage set here for you.
Okay. Performance check with advantage. Oh, good. I'm glad I had advantage because that was 2.
Oh shit.
Can you imagine? She just and it breaks.
She brings the flute up, and it looks like she's about to do something graceful.
She breaks it. It's a 14. Hold on. 19.
Thank you, Vinn.
Okay.
Oh.
The mood in the broad barn for a while was very somber. This was a very dark day for the town of Alfield. People watched friends and family die, and even as the workers kind of banded together to help Jermaine put together his store again, you could kind of tell that there was this feeling of just dread and sorrow kind of hanging through the air. But then everybody in the Shepherds, you all hear very familiar notes playing through the air. And you turn to see Nox standing on the counter of the broad barn, playing into her flute, softly and sweetly, that kind of rises up into a staccato of a beautiful melody. And Jermaine's eyes, where they themselves were also kind of like sad and sunken, you watch as they widen and they kind of like begin to sparkle a bit. And I don't know how to describe this. There's kind of like a general feeling of memories flooding back. You can kind of see that in his eyes. He's remembering happier times. Perhaps when he opened the store with his husband. Perhaps when he was young and moving boxes wasn't so difficult. And making trips to the local grocers didn't take so long. And as the song comes to an end, you see a single tear start to roll down. And and while everybody else in the store suddenly starts to like clap at the end of the song with the somber and the sadness of the general air kind of like dissipating after such a wonderful song has been played, Jermaine kind of nods, not quite able to say thank you, Nox, but you can kind of tell that he's genuinely appreciative of what you've just done. And I would like you to take a point of inspiration.
Yay! Yay!
Everybody make sure your friend boats turn down.
Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. Red boat. Oh, I have him muted.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right. So, Princess has been added to somebody's inventory again. But yeah, do you guys want to stick around the Broad Barn anymore, or do you want to head over to what do you want to do now?
We should head over to that. We should head over to Bryce and then get our money for the years.
Yeah.
The party.
Yeah. Once everything is kind of finished, she will bow again to Jermaine in a respectful gesture, and then the first thing that Nox is going to do is try to get rid of these ears in her pocket by finding Bryce and turning those in.
Okay. All right. Nox, what's your passive perception, by the way?
Oh, no.
Passive perception is 15.
All right. So
Not a face you want to see your DM make.
So once you guys kind of finish up in the Broad Barn, you make your way out into the town again. And again, Alfield's not a very big town. Like standing in the center of the courtyard, you're kind of like able to see the town limits all around you. And you're also able to very easily identify a sign for the Candle Glow Inn. You see one of those old-timey hanging signs that kind of like hangs out on a bar like this, and it's right here, you know? I'll learn how to describe things someday, I promise. But
Fine.
It's okay.
Good.
But you see the Candle Glow Inn painted in indented letters, along with a picture of a very nicely done picture of like a wax candle, with wax dripping away from it. You can tell that the artist was paid very well, as all artists should be for commissions. People who are watching at home. Anyway, but. As you make your way over to the Candle Glow Inn and make your way inside, it's very reminiscent of the Leaky Tap in Zadash, but so much nicer. Like, this place is really, there's like a bearskin rug, there's a huge crackling hearth, and it's just fucking filled with people, table to table. There's not just tables either. There's carpeted booths and stuff. There's a bar that you can sit at. There's all sorts of like hunting trophies and sawmill stuff kind of like hung up around the room. I don't want to say fantasy Applebee's, but like this is kind of what it would look. It's got the Applebee's vibe where it's just kind of there's kind of like shit just hung up everywhere, and you go in there and you're like immediately sure you're gonna have a good time. But
Brits don't know Applebee's.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
the
have no idea
European
what you're
version.
talking about. So
Yeah, same here. We're googling Applebee's right now.
Half of your squad does not know what you're talking about.
I forgot that a third of my players from
We like Applebee's?
Applebee's.
What the fuck is Applebee's?
it's a.
Yeah.
It looks like a
Okay.
restaurant or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly subpar restaurant.
All right.
Oh,
Taking
It
some
has nice
DM notes just to remind myself that half of my players are European, and I should probably not. I should probably tone down the America-only references.
If you said something like Tesco's Cafe, I would have understood.
Not me.
Sorry, whom?
Tesco's Cafe.
Oh my god.
yeah, I don't know what. When has Tesco's ever had a cafe? What?
My Tesco's has a cafe.
What did
Alright,
Tesco is
anyway,
weird?
before we get any more off track, so you guys make your way into what you now understand, hopefully, as a fantasy Applebee's. And again, it's kind of like filled with people, and normally, kind of like from the vibe of the whole building, you can sort of tell that this is a place of like merriment, but everybody who is there at the time is kind of just like very quiet and kind of drinking to themselves, considering what happened today. You see a couple soldiers like at a table, kind of nursing their wounds. One of them, he has his arm in a cast, and his face is all wrapped up, and he's finishing what appears to be his 6th tankard. So apparently he hasn't had a great day, but
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. But there are voices coming from the kind of center of the inn itself. You immediately recognize Watchmaster Bryce Phelan, kind of like rolling his eyes as a small gnomish man in very fine dress with tassels is kind of like pointing up at him with a gloved hand and like dabbing at his head with a handkerchief as well. He's got kind of like light brown skin and black hair, and he seems to be kind of middle-aged for a halfling. For not a halfling, a gnome. But you can kind of immediately tell that this is Starosta Kosh that Kyle told you about, the gnomish leader of the town of Alfield. And as you guys make your way inside, Bryce kind of looks over, and there's on their face, there's kind of like a look of relief, like, oh, thank God, a reason to get out of this conversation. And he turns to stride towards you, and Starosta Kosh, he's like, hold on, excuse me, I'm not done talking. Oh my. and he rushes over to you on his little legs. And Bryce, with his sword kind of resting on his hip, he's like, good to see you're back. How'd it go?
I bypass and I go to the bar.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And he kind of watches you go, and he's like, that bad, huh?
Nox looks at her all sorts of upset and depressed party and turns back to him and says, the rats will not be bothering the town anymore.
Oh, that's good to hear. I won't ask for specific details, but do you think we have any needs to worry about an attack in the future?
She was in the middle of getting the ears out of her pocket, and she pauses and says, "In the future, no. Many of them have survived, yes, but their leader has been defeated, and I think they understand well that there is nothing for them here anymore."
Bryce nods, and he looks down at the gnome, and he says, "What do you think, sir?" And the Starosta Kosh, who's still dabbing at his forehead, he says, "I still want to establish a nightly patrol, of course, and I want to, sir, breathe." And Starosta Kosh, he rolls his eyes, takes a deep breath, and he's just like, "Yes, understood. In any case, yes, we'll keep an eye out for now, Bryce. Have your patrols continue as we planned, but for now, it seems we can take at least a small breath of relaxation, and we have you to thank for it." He says, kind of like And he says that kind of like looking up at Nox, and he sticks out a sweaty little hand for you to shake.
Gross. With like
Gross. You're the one with your hand in the ears, so.
yeah, she. So at this point, she has just a clump, an unidentifiable clump, in one hand, and she takes her other hand away from it, and with like 3 fingers for his tiny little hand, she she shakes his hand.
All right. When his hand comes away extra bloody, he's like, Bryce, would you please pay the woman? Kind of just like restrained horror. And Bryce rubs his eyes and is like, yeah, no, sure. And how many ears did you have, Nox?
We had 6, and I think the deal was 20 gold for each.
It was.
It should be 120.
120 gold pieces.
So,
Yay!
So Bryce,
the travel.
Bryce kind of gingerly takes the ears and he starts counting them. He's like, all right. Well, stop. I will. I'll put in a request for the town treasury for about 100 gold pieces then.
Ooh. She pauses and squints a little bit, and she says, she like points at the. Did he take the ears, or
he did take the ears? He was counting them. Yeah.
Okay. She points at the mush of ears that he has, and she says, "Forgive me, there are 6 there. That should be 120 pieces."
Bryce blinks and he kind of like lays them out on his palm. He says, "No, we got 5 here. There's just 5." And you look at his hand, and there's only 5 ears in his hand. And
If
Nox,
you tell me princess.
and
has
Nox,
ears.
at that moment, you hear what sounds like chewing, and you slowly turn around, and sitting on Fenkin's shoulder, you see Princess just.
No!
It's on Fenkin's shoulder.
Dang.
She looks. She points. She looks back at Bryce. That is the 6th.
I'll let you keep that one. 120 it is.
Lincoln is just like staring at Princess like with horror in his eyes.
He's like, how did you get that?
Princess sees you looking at him, blinks, and he's like,
Oh, gross! No! Oh, keep it! Oh God!
We should have left that thing in the bar.
the Starosta, who is now vigorously wiping his own hands, with a handkerchief. He's like, in any case, I do appreciate the help that you've delivered unto my town. If it weren't for you and your swift action, we likely wouldn't have a town. Oh my goodness. But in any case, compensation. Feel free to stay in the Candleglow Inn for as long as you'd like. I'll see to it that you have the best of rooms paid for. And Bryce is like, why don't you go get washed up, sir? I'll take care of this. He's like, yes, thank you. And thank you, everyone. You have a lovely night. Rest up well. Oh, gods. And he kind of like toddles out the tavern. And Bryce kind of like putting the ears in a pouch. He's like, sorry about the Starosta. He means well. He's just a bit high strung.
You don't say. Says Fenkin of all people.
Yeah, right.
At the bar, I've pulled out my 3 gold and 2 copper, and I kind of hold it up to the barkeep, and I go, "Will this purchase me anything alcoholic?"
So the man at the bar, who's kind of like a slim man with a curly mustache and a goatee, he's kind of like wiping a glass and kind of looks at you, sees that you're a drow, and he's like, "You're the drow that was helping with the rites?"
Yes.
First one's free. And he reaches down, gets a cup, and starts filling it with beer, and slides it towards you.
Thank you. I down it.
Immediately.
Now you're gonna.
One long gulp.
he's like, can I get you anything to?
Another.
I'll get you another one then.
Thank you.
So, I'll say that eventually an envoy from the Starosta's office did come around to speak to the bartender about getting you guys some rooms for the night. But what do you guys want to do now? Now that you've spoken to Bryce and that you have your payment on the way.
Can I go pee?
What?
Can I go pee?
In real life?
Like
In
in real
real
life,
life,
or to
not
spend
in real
consecutive?
life.
5-minute break.
Yeah, please. I
5
want to
minute
pee
break.
so bad.
5 minute break.
Thank you.
I was like, I mean, we can. I'm not going to describe him using the latrine, but we can do a scene.
Can you imagine?
If you really want me to.
Is he
No.
hydrated?
In the meantime, we'll say that Bryce wished you guys farewell. Maybe shook your leader's hand, realized that was a bad idea because now his hand is covered in cat hair and blood.
Yeah.
He mixed his way up. But yeah, 5 minute break. I'll meet you guys back here in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ew. Ew.
I will have Knots finally give.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
how.
she's tempted. She is
How much money
tempted.
does she owe him?
It was 200 and something gold pieces.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I don't know if she had I think she had 0 gold before.
Yes,
Which-
because she used Dhuur'in's gold, and that's why
Right.
I have 3 gold and 2 copper.
Yeah, so he gave her like 225. She is not going to give all of that back, but she would give some of it back. She will give an amount.
Uh-oh. An amount. 1.
An amount. Some amount.
Connor, are you drinking?
It's root beer.
Oh, is it good?
Beer.
I haven't had any yet.
I thought you've had it before.
Take a swig.
Take a swig.
Take a swig.
A swig. A swig, goddammit. A swig.
Tug.
That is a long swig.
Is it good?
Is it good?
See, this is why we said swig, not
I said chug.
chug.
I forgot you can't do that with carbonated drinks. Everything hurts.
Yeah, you can.
You shouldn't.
Don't be a pussy.
You know,
But I
tried
did.
beer before. Oh, Connor.
Kono.
Well, I mean, you chose to chug it, man.
Yeah.
You chose to.
Stronger
You
esophagus.
chose to chug without thinking of the consequences.
I chugged the rest of my Beppis in your honor.
Aw. No! Holy shit.
She's squishy.
It's incredibly
Can't
squishy.
be that.
What are you? Oh, okay.
That's our new DM.
Yeah.
My milkshake's bringing all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than you.
Hey, Connor, you remember that picture where it looks like you got beans with the fucking turtle?
I do remember that picture. For context, we were having a video chat, and I picked up the turtle with my mouth, and I threw it, but Sophie took a screenshot at the exact right time, and it looks like I'm getting fucking bodied by a turtle that somebody threw at me. If somebody wants to like post the picture in pictures, I will
I'm
show it to our
looking
viewers.
for it.
I made one of those to be continued meme.
Mm.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome.
I really want to do an animatic where you remember when Snagrat kicked Gesh for the first time, like appeared behind him and kicked him. I want to freeze frame and just like do 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 do.
Guys, look at my Swedish candy.
Ooh.
Oh my god! Swedish fish, Swedish cars.
What is that?
Yeah, Swedish cars.
Oh, here's the picture. Here's the picture of me getting bodied by a turtle.
It says Sweden's most bought car. Haha.
I like some Swedish
so
fish.
funny.
Back to it.
All right. So
Yeah, I know it's hard to see our DM drinking, guys, but it's a very stressful job.
it's the only way I can tolerate you motherfuckers. God, I
What are
want
you
to do
talking
drunk.
about? We are angels.
There's this thing.
Yeah,
called,
right.
There's this style of drunk Shakespeare where you get like one very important character to the plot fucking hammered. Like usually with drunk Shakespeare, everybody's drunk, but like no, this version of drunk Shakespeare, I've seen it once. It's fucking hilarious. They got Hamlet drunk. So like, there's the scene with the two guards talking, and one of them was like, "Oh, here comes Hamlet," and Hamlet came out on stage, and he was like, "Fucking forgot my lines," and he walked back. He walked back off stage, and the guards were standing there like, "What do we do?"
Well, that's Dhuur'in right now.
What, from one? Just from one thing?
He had two. He was given another.
Oh, yeah.
Probably for his remaining 3 gold and 2 copper.
I will say before Bryce leaves, he's gonna like look at Gesh, and he kind of looks left and right and makes his way over to you, Gesh, when everybody else is kind of busying themselves.
Okay.
You had a walking stick with you when you came in, right?
A quarterstaff.
Quarterstaff, aye. Did you lose it? Something?
It was broken.
I see. All right. Come see me later. Come get your payment. Might have something for you. And, but he leans in closer. But don't say a fucking thing, all right?
Oh.
Keep his secrets again, Gesh.
You can bring the rest of your buddies. I don't mind. Just don't say anything to anyone around town, eh?
My lips are sealed.
Mom's the word. Thanks again. And he pats you on the shoulder, kind of like realizes how muscly you are, and he's like, "Fuck, all right." And with that, they turn around and they make their way out the door. And before they leave, Bryce turns around, shouts to the barkeeper, "I'm Marcus!" And the barkeeper looks up from Dhuur'in after Dhuur'in drained what I assume to be his second little ale cup. Marcus is like, "Aye, they sleep and eat for free. Tell the Starosta says." And Marcus nods. He's like, "All right." With that, you guys are free to explore your rooms or mill about the tavern as you will.
And drink.
Frankie wants to take a bath. He'll run up to Marcus or someone and be like, "Can I have a bath?"
Marcus, the bartender, taken aback by yet another elf running up to his bar. He's like, "Aye. The suites upstairs. They have boiling pots, so you can fill up the tub." And he kind of rifles around in his pocket apron for a second. He's like, "Where to fucking put? Here we go." And he hands you a very ornate-looking key, handing on a wooden block. This is the one. This one's to the suite upmost to the left.
It's naturally like, thank you. And then he runs up the stairs.
All right, so we're gonna go off on a little Fenkin adventure here for a second.
Yay!
Ooh.
So,
My
Still
favorite
drinking.
one.
so with Princess kind of like hanging onto your shoulders, kind of like a Ghibli animal character, just like you rush up the stairs, and Marcus watches you go, and he looks back down at Dhuur'in, and he's like, "You want another?"
Yes.
That's what I figured. All right, and but cutting back to Fenkin, as you make your way up to the door that Marcus just told you about, you see that the hallways aren't as decorated as the tavern downstairs, which makes sense. You know, the tavern's more of like the social area. This is more of an area of rest and all that. But you can tell that the upstairs is a lot spacier than the.
Oh my god! Hello?
My
Nice
goodness.
one! 8 out of 10.
I think a ghost just escaped my belly.
Very good.
Anyway, it's a lot bigger and a lot spacier than the leaky tap. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a Kubo, but
Oh well, then we're leaving.
we're leaving. But
Wow.
you seem to be the only one upstairs right now, which is good for you because I'm assuming you don't want to be seen in your current state. But eventually, you are able to make your way to the very back to what appeared to be the doors to the suites, these doors are much bigger than like the doors to the regular rooms, and these are numbered. Ooh, so you press the key into the keyhole, you pull open the door, and you're met with this just enormous room, an enormous carpeted room.
Carpeters.
An enormous carpeted room with the biggest covered bed you have ever seen in your entire life. It's almost like it was kind of like done up in a theme, you know, to like kind of like resemble a prince's kind of like fucking bedroom. Kind of like those like themed hotels and all that. But as you step in, you can smell kind of like some kind of perfume wafting through the air. You can see that on the painted walls that are painted kind of like this pale lavender purple to induce feelings of relaxation. And most importantly, you see the boiling pot hanging over the wooden stove hearth in the back, which you know is going to contain the warm water you need to fill your bath. Princess immediately kind of scrambles back up onto your shoulder, and his eyes as he looks around the room as well.
He was not really paying attention to his surroundings at first. Just kind of scrambling in through the door, just slamming it open, and then he stumbles in 2 steps and he stops and he's like. And then he stares at like the size of everything in the bed, and he has never seen anything so luxurious in his life. He spent a large portion of his life in the woods, so he is immediately taken aback, and then there's like a little sparkle in his eyes, and he feels like, yeah, this is what I was born to live like.
As you step further into the room, you see there's like another door on kind of like the southernmost wall. And as you move to pull that one open, you see that this is clearly like the bathroom. And the tub isn't so much a tub, it's more like kind of like a lowered portion of the floor that you can kind of step up and then into. Not yet filled with water, but in the back of your mind, you're imagining it filled with steaming hot water.
Fenkin like throws his head back and he moans. He's like, ah! He's so excited for this fucking bath.
All right. So as you turn away from the bathroom, leaving the door open, you see that Princess has already like found a space on the bed, and he's like rubbing his little raccoon hands all over the sheets, just like. Oh.
he just temporarily forgets all of the suspicion he holds towards Princess because he's so fucking excited about this room and the bath. He just it's like, you and me, we're living it up.
he like gives you the double guns back.
Having a whole moment right here.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, pretty much forgetting to close the door for a moment as he just kind of runs into the bathroom and sort of takes a look around to figure out how to fill up the bath and like how to warm up the water. And he starts like tinkering with that.
All right. Essentially, how this would work is that you would take like the pot off the hearth and take it over to the bath and start to fill it up. And normally this would take a long time, but this is like a very large pot, and you're a very small elf. And on top of that, there's kind of like this little, not mechanism, but this little cover that you can like roll over the top of the tub to like keep the water hot. So after about, I'm going to say 20 minutes or so, you have a hot bath all filled up, probably to the very brim because you got a little bit overexcited. So a little water is going to wash out when you get out, despite your twinkishness.
Is there candles?
You know what? Yeah, sure. You find in kind of like one of the cabinets nearest like the face washing station. There's white candles, kind of like in a little packet.
He's definitely rummaging through all the cabinets and everything, just to search out like if there's any soap, if there's anything he can add into the water, any oil, anything like that. And he lights up the candles, places them strategically like around the bathtub or like and it makes it look really cozy and smell really good. If you found any like oils or anything like that.
What? One more time.
Yeah. If you found any oils or anything you could pour into the water.
I will say Alfield's not a really prosperous town, but I will say that you were able to find on the windowsill, kind of like overlooking the town square, you did kind of find like a little glass of like dried lavender and dried rose petals, and you might have like sprinkled those in the tub.
Yeah, no, we're talking. But yeah, he does that. And then when it's all done, he just immediately just like discards his clothes, dropping everything to the floor, and steps right in.
All right, so with steam somehow rising up immediately to cover all your bits, you make your way into the tub and you start to lower yourself into the hot water in the first bath in what feels like years, even though you went to the bathhouse in Zadash. And immediately you just feel every muscle in your body relax, and you kind of like lose yourself for a moment, and you close your eyes. And you don't know how long they're closed until you hear a splash. And when you jolt awake, you see Princess on his back, kind of like floating in the water with you.
He probably splashed some water on him, and and then he looks at Princess, and then he says, "You're getting scrubbed today." Oh.
Princess sits. Well, he can't sit up in the water. He kind of like looks up over his belly, like, and blinks. Are you going to attempt to watch?
Yes.
Okay. So, as far as like,
What sort of check would this be?
So there is a bar of soap that you can that's used for scrubbing yourself. There's not so much shampoo as there is kind of like an oil you can kind of like thread through your hair, but you've been around animals for a long time, and there's nothing really in this. Soap in this kind of time setting isn't the same kind of soap that we would use nowadays. Where bars of soap that we have nowadays are all like chemicals and shit. Soap back then was literally just more natural stuff. So it won't hurt to scrub both yourself and this raccoon with with these soaps and oils. So after you get yourself washed off and wringing out your long golden hair, and not golden, white. Yeah, you see Princess kind of drifting by using his little tail as a paddle. Just so, how do you want to do this?
He's gonna attempt to reach for the raccoon and sort of like scoop him closer with the soap in one hand, and you can see like one of his eyes sort of like glinting, like enemy style, like.
So as soon as you pull Princess closer, it's kind of like when you roll a big dog over onto his back. He's like, "Oh, it's cuddle time," and then he sees the soap, and immediately freezes and starts to like scrabble away. And as like you pull him back into the water, he's like his claws are like raking against the edge of the tub, and you hear like a as you pull him back into the water, and you just start to like scrub him into the soap, and you dunk him a little bit to get him wet, and the entire time Princess is just like and it's just where it once was a quiet, peaceful, serene moment, water is splashing everywhere. The candles have gone out because the water has splashed over the candles. And the entire time Princess is fighting you. Like there's a moment where you have him on his back in your arm, and you're like trying to clean like the bald spot on his fur, and he's like pushing with his hands against the soap, and you're just like, "Come on, you little fucker." but eventually you're able to like get all of him clean, and once the tub itself, once you pull the cork out and it begins to drain and you step out, immediately he seems more calm than he was like 10 seconds ago when he was like hissing and screaming. And he gets out, kind of shakes, and after you get yourself dried off, you might take your towel and like rub it over him, just and his fur just kind of like poofs out.
Yeah, this whole time where he was watching, he was just sort of like, "Settle down, it's not that bad, come on." As we fought him and like would not give in. He would not give in until he was spotless. And then, as you said, he crouched down and he started to rub him all over with his towel, and then he poofs it up and he's like, much better.
All right. So the both of you looking sparkly clean, getting out of the bathroom and getting into some clean clothes that have been laid out for you by the staff. You feel a lot more. What's that?
New outfit.
It's not really like anything fancy. It's just kind of like white linen pajamas, that you can wear to bed. And speaking of going to bed, we're going to take a short 10-minute break here, and when we come back, we will continue on into the next day.
I've had 5 drinks.
Oh, you had 5.
I had a drink to him as well.
Meanwhile, well, as soon as you guys get out of the bathroom, feeling all refreshed, Dhuur'in's just like at the counter, just
Yeah. He's going through it a little bit. Give him some time.
All right. I will see you guys in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.